people that do it, and then how do they get the fucking people? I don't think my connection's best here in this room. I just don't know. That's live now. Is it live? I don't know if it's just my computer nowadays, man. It's like loads of time on YouTube. Alright, that might be me. Alright, we'll just do it live next time or something. Alright, sound. Alright then.
How's it going, United fans? Wow. Interesting game. 1-1. Poor. One of the worst performances I think we've seen so far this season. Very, very poor performance from United. The last 15-20 minutes when he made the changes were the only bit of respite that I think we got, and a bit of a decent performance. Other than that, I think it was a pretty poor performance from United generally. Pretty disappointed, if I'm brutally honest. I think the result's good, but I think the performance is diabolical. When I say I'm disappointed, I am actually quite pleased for the result. I think the result is a fair one, a fair reflection of not a fair reflection, but a fair result for United in terms of, I think we would have taken the 1-1 draw before before the game started. I said 1-1 leading into it in my previous stream just before the game started this evening, and we've come up and managed to get the result. So 1-1, pretty good. I thought Ronaldo had a good centre forwards display, a grafted performance. I thought the back four was solid. I thought they did well. It was a difficult performance. That Madrid were good. How they've struggled this season playing that kind of way, I'm not so sure. I think they've been very good. So difficult one really. We go back to Old Trafford where I think it's everything to play for. It's difficult to put words to it at the minute. Just trying to put out a tweet as well. My laptop's not having it today. Really performing pretty poorly, as bad as United have performed today. No, so just focus back on the result really. Yeah. But overall, haven't really had time to sort of draft up anything in regards to performances, individual performance. So I thought if we just snapshot to the, I was going to get somebody on the stream. Didn't manage to do that. Just get rid of that as a distraction at the minute. Sorry, just hide that and hide that and that. Yeah, so no, I think overall, looking at the starting lineup, Rangnick didn't get it right, did he? It was poor, very poor. Didn't get it right whatsoever. We struggled from the get go. Struggled, quite a bit. Just looking at the back four, I thought Lindelof tried his best. Didn't seem to play in a certain style. I think he was looking for the ball over the top. Was quite isolated at times. Why the hell Rangnick played Lindelof right back when we had two fit left and two right backs on the bench fit enough to play? I'll never know. So he didn't play either of them, and we struggled. Lindelof for me was probably a 4 or 5. Maguire, I thought Maguire did okay. Could probably say that it was at fault for the goal, but I thought it was a really good goal, fairly an undefensible goal. If I'm honest, I didn't think there was much wrong with it. If I'm brutally honest, I'd give him a sort of a 6. Varane, I thought I had a decent game, probably a 6 as well. De Gea didn't really do much wrong or didn't have much to do at all. Really, I'd give him a 6 as well. I think Shaw had another bleak performance. Consistently making fouls, consistently out of position. I think is a 5, and that's fair. Fred, when the team are weaker, when the guys got possession, and when the team are on top, Fred seems to come into his own. When he's asked to put up gritty performances and dominate the game, Fred goes missing in countless amounts of times. Fred was nowhere to be seen, and for that, he gets a 5 for me. Pogba, I thought was awful. First half, constantly lost the ball, constantly didn't look like he was in the play. Kondogbia basically drilled him for the full portion of the game. For that, I got a 5. Fernandes thought was poor as well. I thought Fernandes got a 5. Rashford, absolutely awful. I think he's put the nail in the coffin for me in terms of his career at United with that performance today. And for that, I think I gave him a 3. Thought it was absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. I can't remember one thing he did well and did right. It was awful. Sancho, I think, went quiet. And for me, that was a 5 performance. Ronaldo, I think fairly got a 6. 6. Substitutions, Alanga came on, was bright, was energetic. Everything we wanted from Rashford that we didn't get. Got a goal. I think it's a 7 performance. Tellez, bright, energetic. Again, 7. Wan-Bissaka came on. Didn't do anything wrong. Was quite energetic again on the right hand side. For me, it was a 6. Matic came on, showed Fred what he should have been doing for 60, 70 minutes in about 10 within about 10 minutes, and he got a solid 6, really. So overall, out of 10, you're looking at 4s and 5s, 6s, 5s, 3 for Rashford. Only 2 7s really in Tellez, which I think is probably overly fair, but I thought Tellez was bright. And Alanga got a 7 just for the goal. Overall, it was a 4/5 out of 10 performance, really. It was absolutely dreadful. But we take a 1-1 and an away goal back to Old Trafford. So anything's possible, really. Not going to go too much more into it. I think I'm going to do a bit of a build up for the game on the weekend. I think is it Watford we've got on the weekend in a few days' time. So I'll do one in a couple of days. Do a stream just really quickly. This has been a bit of a sharp one. I was hoping to get somebody on to discuss it alongside them, but the stream's not been performing particularly well today. I'm getting quite a bit of lag, so don't really want to put out a poor stream for anybody that's watching. So anybody that does watch, and apologies for any poor quality. It's not my intention, and hopefully can make a better one next time. But other than that, as I say, we take a 1-1 back to Old Trafford, an away goal, everything to play for. Hopefully a bit more intensity. He gets the selection right. I think Rangnick worked out his team today, worked out his attitude, worked out the guys that are going to fight for him, worked out I missed Lingard as well. I thought Lingard did well. Missed Lingard, apologies for that. I thought Lingard did really well as well when he came on. I think it was a 6, not a 7, but a 6. Didn't think he did anything wrong. I nearly got a goal at the end as well. But yeah, I think overall he's worked out his players that he can rely upon. I think Shaw's a player who dips so in and out of form. He's a question mark for the next game. I think you've got to be looking at Tellez. The right back position is tough. I don't think Wan-Bissaka's done anything wrong really over the last 2 games. But I think you've probably got to go with Dalot. Especially against Watford, where you're going to be dominating the ball and dominating the possession. Pogba's so in and out of form as well. I don't think it was from want of trying today, but he was so poor. Just when we needed somebody to get the game by the scruff of the neck and turn us around and get us going forward, Pogba just let us down again. And we've been there before with him, where we're looking to somebody to do that thing that's going to turn us into that team that are going to turn fortunes around, and Pogba is that player. And yet, when it mattered the most, Pogba let us down again. So that was a shame. So there's a big question mark on Pogba, other than the fact that I think his league form's pretty good, and he's been good since he's come back from injury. But today he was so poor. So a bit of a question mark there. I thought Fernandes was poor again as well, and his poor form's been. His overall play is poor, but yet he still contributes with the goals, with the assists, and therefore you can't knock him. But his overall football is poor. In the first opening 10-15 minutes in that game today, he gave the ball away twice in the opening 10 minutes in our own half, messing around with it, taking too long to make a decision, and we nearly conceded twice. So it's all right contributing in goals and assists, but if you've been the result of 2 goals at the other end, then it's almost pointless. So I think Rashford, I don't know if the question mark is, I think it's a question mark alongside an exclamation mark, and probably another series of question marks and exclamation marks for quite some time. The guy is just not performing, hasn't performed for quite some time. Come back. I keep saying he's an impact player. He's a guy you bring on in a game like today. Rashford doesn't start. He comes on for the last 15-20 minutes. He's that guy that's running in behind. You're playing those long balls to you're making Atletico, turn and sprint. You give him something to think about with his pace, and he didn't do any of that in the opening 60 minutes. Elanga comes on and he shows Rashford what he should have been doing within 10 minutes, even getting himself a pretty fortunate goal, but a very good finish, and he's on the shoulder, so he gets that goal, he gets that chance. Rashford's done nothing for weeks and weeks and months, and that game to me was pretty much a nail in the coffin for me. I just everything from his hold up play to his runs in behind, to his touches, to his passing, to his decision making when he's passing, to his crossing, to his dribbling, to his shooting. Every facet and element of that game, part of his game, was just terrible today. There's not one portion of his game where he was winning headers but not touching it down, or his shooting was on point but he wasn't passing very well. Every asset of his game was just dreadful. And let's be honest, we all see a player in him. We all see this pace, this power. We saw a finishing ability, a shooting ability, goals. It's gone. It's gone. It hasn't been back for quite some time. Rashford is our Dele Alli. It's funny. It's very similar, isn't it? It's very, very similar to that. Extremely similar. It's he's just dropped off the boil so fast. I say fast. I mean, I'll be honest. There's been an element of consistency with Rashford that hasn't been there for quite some time. So it doesn't come as a particular shock. I don't think that his form's been that dreadful, but he was poor tonight. very poor. He looked a level below the rest of the players that were on that pitch tonight, and I think he felt it. He probably felt it himself that he's struggled tonight to get up to that standard, to get up to that level. None of his dribbles came off, none of his one-on-ones, none of his touches, none of his passing, none of his shooting. Everything, as I say, part of his game was poor today. Sancho, another example of Sancho just getting a level of consistency, coming into some form, and then big game comes along, Sancho goes missing, and it's, I'm not going to criticise Sancho. I think he's been good for a large portion of the last few weeks and in this month, but he went missing tonight. It was just awful, generally just awful. He'll come in on against Watford on the weekend and he'll do well. No, I've got no doubt he'll do well. So, I've got no worries with Sancho. Ronaldo, I felt, put a gritty performance in today. A frustrated man, I could tell, but I think his performance was built out of fire and ambition and grit and determination than skill. And I didn't think he did anything wrong. He grafted, and sometimes that graft can get you goals. And I think he was frustrated in some of the other players around him that there wasn't that same level of intensity at times until the changes were made. But yeah, Fred in and out, a bit of a question mark for me. I think we missed McTominay today. When McTominay gets a level of consistency, he plays really, really well. But the trouble is with McTominay is that there's always an injury at the end of a good spell of games, and then it takes him a good few more games to get up to that level of form again. You have 1 or 2 games from him where he's played well, and then he gets another injury. So, we're going to see a massive dip from McTominay now. Is he going to come in? You'd like to see McTominay, Pogba, and Fernandes again in that midfield, but is that going to be likely? Is it going to likely not play Fred? I think he likes Fred in that midfield. We'll see. Well, some question marks there. Pogba was disappointing, but he'll come in. Fernandes was disappointing, but obviously he ain't going to be dropped. Rashford, for me, I don't see how Rashford gets back into the team for a long, long time, if at all. I didn't think the back four did anything particularly bad tonight. I thought they coped. Lindelof was just out of position. I thought Tellers was good when he came in, brilliant. Same with Wan-Bissaka, didn't think he did anything wrong. And Maguire did okay, and Varane did okay, and so did De Gea. So Shaw, for me, a bit of a question mark against Shaw, as I've just said. But yeah, just it was a bit of a shock for us tonight. I think we've rode his luck against players and teams that have been, we've had a January and February of pretty mediocre teams, Burnley's, Leeds, teams around Brentford, teams that were effectively expecting to be beaten and haven't beaten. Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. Poor performances against teams that have been pretty average. We've gone up against a team who are current Spanish champions, who are arguably, if they get it on, who could contest for, their top 4 quite easily. Who, let's be honest, are still a threat within the Champions League. We've got some quality players in that squad, and we've suddenly come up against an half-decent team since our close contest with some of the mediocre teams in the Premier League. But since we've come up against some, basically Liverpool and Chelsea, where we got smashed, basically, that standard where we are currently at this moment in time, way off. We've come up against a similar standard in Atletico Madrid tonight, albeit they still aren't even at that standard, I don't think. And we've been shown up. There's patches where they were knocking the ball around for fun, and it was embarrassing. And you didn't match that aggression to contain it. But look, it's 1-1. We take it back to Old Trafford. Opportunity to grasp the game, take control of it, get in front. Obviously, we can't concede. But we get the away goal, so that gives us some cover. Yeah, and